Okay, folks, buckle up, because we are diving headfirst into some serious drama today. Like, seriously, you would not believe the latest installment in the Wanda Nara and Mauro Icardi saga.
I know, right? Just when you think they've reached peak chaos, they somehow manage to turn the volume up even higher.
It's almost impressive, really. Like, their lives are basically a telenovela at this point. So for anyone who needs a quick refresher, or maybe you've been living under a rock for the past year, let's recap. Wanda and Mauro, once the epitome of soccer glamour, have been embroiled in this incredibly messy and very, very public separation.
Oh, absolutely. And it's been playing out for the world to see. We're talking explosive social media posts, accusations flying back and forth, and of course, the never-ending legal battles. It's been quite a spectacle.
It really has. And we actually thought things might be calming down, because just recently, Icardi was granted visitation rights to see his daughters. We were all thinking maybe, just maybe, this signals a step towards some kind of healthy co-parenting situation.
Yeah, well, hope springs eternal, right? But as this latest incident so dramatically demonstrates, legal agreements and real-life dynamics don't always play nicely together.
That is the understatement of the century. We've been poring over a report that lays out this latest incident, and let me tell you, it is a doozy. So today we're going to break it down, try to understand what on earth happened and what this tells us about the oh-so-complicated relationship between these two. We'll try to get beyond the headlines and really unpack what's going on beneath the surface.
Exactly. We're going to sift through the drama, look for those underlying currents that keep this conflict churning.
So where do we even begin? Well, this whole explosion of craziness apparently started with something that sounds pretty ordinary on the surface. Icardi was at Wanda's house to drop off their dogs and pick up the kids from school.
Ah, yes, the seemingly simple act of pet exchange in the midst of a high-profile separation. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, yeah, just the usual. According to the report, things got heated pretty quickly. And we're not talking about disagreements over dog biscuits. It seems Icardi became quite aggressive with Wanda about, well, the dogs.
It's almost comical if it wasn't so indicative of a deeper issue, like even the family pets become pawns in this ongoing battle.
Right. And to make matters worse, the kids got caught in the crossfire. They got upset, started insisting on taking the dogs with them. Imagine being those kids stuck between your parents who are basically fighting over the family dog.
It's a stark reminder of how parental conflict, even when seemingly about something trivial, can have a profound impact on children.
Absolutely. But wait, it gets even more dramatic. Can't make this up, folks.
Yeah.
As if this whole scene wasn't already crazy enough, journalists from the Argentinian TV show Lamb, that's like their version of TMD, just happened to show up.
Oh, of course they did. Because when you're Wanda and Mauro, even your everyday drama is front-page news.
Seriously. It's like their lives are a reality show, only with way higher stakes. Anyway, the Lamb reporters saw Icardi and described him as being extremely agitated.
Well, given the circumstances, that's not entirely surprising. But it does underscore how their every move is scrutinized, analyzed, and broadcast to the world.
It's actually pretty intense when you think about it. And then things go from bad to straight up unbelievable. Icardi allegedly locked himself in the elevator with one of his daughters. You get that right. In the elevator.
Yes. That's where we really shift from everyday conflict into something far more concerning. This is not a typical disagreement. It's an action with potentially serious implications.
For real. And understandably, Wanda absolutely freaked out. The report describes her frantically shouting for help. In fact, there's a quote that's been circulating everywhere. Aiutatemi per favor, which means help me please in Italian. She was desperate. It was clear she was terrified for her daughter.
That public cry for help is incredibly telling. It speaks volumes about the level of fear and desperation she must have been feeling. To reach that point of publicly pleading for assistance, that's significant.
It really is. And this is where it gets even more heartbreaking, honestly. One of the daughters started crying. She was clearly scared and even told the police she was feeling sick. It's gut-wrenching to imagine what those kids must have been going through, caught in the middle of all this.
Absolutely, and it underscores the point we made earlier about the impact of this kind of conflict on children. Their sense of safety and stability is completely disrupted.
Despite the police officers asking Icardi to let his daughter out of the elevator, he reportedly refused. Just flat out refused. You would think that at that point, calming things down would be the top priority for everyone involved. But no.
That refusal, especially in front of the police and with his daughter visibly distressed, is deeply troubling. It speaks to a complete breakdown in communication and a lack of awareness of the immediate needs of his child.
It's pretty shocking, honestly. Anyway, according to the report, Wanda was completely distraught. crying, begging the police to help her and her daughters. And because it's 2025, someone, of course, caught the whole thing on video, which, as you can imagine, went viral almost instantly. This was no longer a private family dispute. It was playing out on the world stage, with everyone and their mother suddenly a relationship expert weighing in on social media.
This is where the public nature of their lives really comes into play, right? It adds this whole other layer of complexity. Their every action, every emotion is amplified and dissected for mass consumption. It's hard to imagine finding any kind of resolution under that kind of pressure.
It's crazy. And thankfully, the police ultimately intervened. They stopped Icardi from taking the children, citing the escalating violence and the overall chaotic atmosphere. So even though legally he was allowed to see his daughters, the situation was just too volatile for that to happen safely.
It's a powerful reminder that legal rulings are one thing, but the immediate safety and well-being of individuals, especially children, have to take precedence when things escalate to that level. The police recognized that things were getting out of control, and they stepped in.
They definitely did. So after all that, what are the big takeaways here? I mean, where do we even begin to unpack this mess?
Well, I think the biggest one is that the conflict between Wanda and Icardi is far from resolved. Like, this isn't just a case of hurt feelings or miscommunication. There's some serious stuff going on there. And then, of course, there's the impact on the children. It's heartbreaking to see them caught in the middle of this. Their well-being is paramount, and it's clear they're being affected by all of this.
You know, it's interesting. We thought maybe the legal visitation agreement marks some kind of turning point, like a step towards some sort of functional co-parenting situation. But this incident just blows that idea out of the water.
It does, doesn't it? It highlights the fact that co-parenting requires more than just following a court order. It needs communication, respect, and a genuine commitment to putting the kids' needs first. It's clear that those elements are severely lacking here.
This whole thing, the panic, the scared child, the police having to intervene, it's a really stark reminder of how incredibly hard it is to co-parent when there's this much anger and resentment involved. And it makes you think, given the legal framework they had in place, yet how emotionally explosive everything became, what does this incident tell us about trying to solve incredibly personal, painful conflicts when every single moment is being broadcast to the entire world? Like, can you ever really separate the personal from the public when you're this famous?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It speaks to the idea that sometimes, even with the best intentions and legal structures in place, raw emotions and deeply ingrained relationship patterns can be nearly impossible to overcome. Especially when you add in the constant scrutiny of the public eye, it's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline.
So true. And it raises all these broader questions about the price of fame, the toll it takes on families, especially the kids, and the role of media, particularly social media, in all of this. Does it amplify these situations? Does it make them harder to resolve? It's a lot to think about.
Definitely. The speed at which information travels now, the constant scrutiny, the pressure to perform for the cameras, even when you're falling apart, it undoubtedly has an impact.
Well, I think we can all agree this is probably just one chapter in a much longer story. Who knows what the next headline will be? But it makes you wonder, can Wanda and Mauro ever find a way to co-parent effectively and, more importantly, privately? For their children's sake, I truly hope so.
It's a reminder that behind the headlines and the public drama, these are real people with real emotions trying to navigate an incredibly complex situation. Hopefully, they can find a path toward healing and stability, especially for their children.
We can only hope. This was intense even for us. Thanks for breaking it down with me.
Anytime. It's a conversation that needs to be had.